The most recognized restaurant brand on earth was not created by a young Silicon Valley genius with a laptop and a vision board. It was not built by a Harvard MBA with $100 million in venture capital. It was created by a 52-year-old man with bad knees, a bad heart, a failing marriage, and a car full of milkshake machines that nobody wanted to buy. You would think a man who had already failed at paper cup sales, real estate, and a dozen other businesses. A man who was so broke at 50 that he was still driving himself across America trying to sell commercial blenders, could never build the most visited restaurant chain in human history. Right? Well, Ray Kroc was 52 years old when he first drove to a small hamburger stand in San Bernardino, California in 1954. He had nothing. By the time he died in 1984, McDonald's had over 7,000 locations, was feeding millions of people every single day, and had become the most powerful food brand the world had ever seen. He would build it not by inventing a better burger, not by discovering a secret recipe, but by seeing something that two brothers in California could see right in front of them and somehow could not see at all. So how did a broke, sick, 52-year-old milkshake machine salesman create the empire that feeds 69 million people every day? To find out, we go back to 1902. Raymond Albert Kroc was born on October 5th, 1902, in Oak Park, Illinois. His parents were Czech immigrants. His father worked for Western Union. The family was working class, modest, and deeply American in the specific way that early 20th century Midwestern families were American, optimistic, hardworking, and quietly convinced that effort would eventually be rewarded. Kroc dropped out of high school at 15 to drive ambulances in World War I. He was too young for combat, but old enough to lie about his age. In a training camp in Connecticut, a fellow ambulance driver named Walt Disney, yes, that Walt Disney, was sitting in the bunk next to him. After the war, Kroc tried everything. He played piano in jazz clubs. He sold paper cups. He sold Florida real estate during the land boom of the 1920s, then lost everything when the boom collapsed. He kept moving. He kept selling. He kept failing. By his 40s, Ray Kroc had found something he was genuinely good at: selling milkshake machines. He became the exclusive salesman for the Prince Castle Multimixer, a commercial blender that could make 5 milkshakes simultaneously. It was not glamorous work, but it kept him on the road, moving across America, learning the food service business from the ground up. He was not building toward anything, he was surviving. And then in 1954, a small hamburger stand in San Bernardino, California, placed an order for 8 multi-mixers, 8 machines. No restaurant Kroc had ever visited needed more than 1 or 2. 8 meant this place was making 40 milkshakes at a time. Something about that number would not leave him alone. He drove to California to see it for himself. What he found in San Bernardino was unlike anything he had ever seen. Dick and Mac McDonald had been running their hamburger stand since 1940. But in 1948, they had done something radical. They had shut it down completely, fired all their staff, and rebuilt it from scratch around a single insight: speed. They called it the Speedee service system. The menu was stripped to 9 items, nothing that required a knife or fork, nothing that required a plate. Everything prepared in advance, in an assembly line, so that a customer could order, pay, and receive their food in 30 seconds. The kitchen was designed like a factory floor. Every station had a specific job. Every movement was optimized to eliminate waste. The food was cheap. The service was fast. The quality was consistent. Every single customer got exactly the same hamburger. Ray Kroc stood at the counter and watched the line of customers move through the system. Then he walked around to the kitchen and watched the assembly line in motion. And in that moment, at 52 years old, broke and sick and exhausted from decades of failed ventures, Ray Kroc had the most important thought of his life: this can be everywhere. He went back to his motel that night and could not sleep, because his mind would not stop running the numbers. If this system, This perfect, replicable, efficient hamburger machine could be reproduced in every city in America. The scale of what was possible was almost impossible to comprehend. The next morning, he went back to the McDonald brothers and made his pitch. Let me franchise this. Let me take this system and reproduce it across America. You provide the name, the system, the recipes. I will find the operators, build the restaurants, and make us all rich. Dick and Mac McDonald were not uninterested. They had already tried franchising, and it had not gone well. Their licensees had changed the recipes, lowered the quality, ignored the system. But Kroc was persistent in the way that only a man with nothing left to lose can be persistent. In 1954, they reached an agreement. Kroc would franchise McDonald's restaurants. He would receive 1.9% of each franchise's sales. The McDonald brothers would receive 0.5%. Kroc would cover all costs. It was, on paper, a terrible deal for Kroc. He signed it anyway. The first McDonald's franchise opened in Des Plaines, Illinois on April 15, 1955. Ray Kroc was 52 years old. He worked the counter himself. He cleaned the parking lot himself. The early years were brutal. The franchise model was generating revenue, but not profit. His first marriage was collapsing. He was working 18-hour days at an age when most men were thinking about retirement. And then, a man named Harry Sonneborn walked into his office and told him something that changed everything. McDonald's was not a food business. It was a real estate business. The money was not in selling hamburgers. The money was in owning the land that the restaurant sat on. If McDonald's bought or leased the property, then sublet it to franchisees at a markup, the company would generate a steady compounding stream of income that had nothing to do with whether the hamburgers were good or bad. Kroc implemented the model immediately. McDonald's Corporation became a real estate company that happened to sell hamburgers. The land underneath every golden arch was an asset. The hamburger was the reason people showed up. The rent was where the money lived. By 1960, McDonald's had over 200 locations. By 1961, Kroc was ready to buy out the brothers entirely. Dick and Mac McDonald asked for $2.7 million. No royalties. A clean break. Kroc agreed. He borrowed the money, paid them out, and became the sole owner of the McDonald's system. There was one detail the brothers had not mentioned. The original San Bernardino location was not included in the sale. They kept it, renamed it the Big M, and continued operating independently. Kroc opened a McDonald's directly across the street from them. Within a year, the Big M was out of business. Through the 1960s and 1970s, McDonald's expanded at a pace that seemed impossible. New locations opening every day. The Golden Arches becoming one of the most recognized symbols on Earth. Ronald McDonald arriving in 1963. The Big Mac in 1968. Drive-thrus in the 1970s. Kroc's system, the replicable, consistent, efficient hamburger machine he had seen in San Bernardino in 1954, turned out to be exactly as scalable as he had imagined. Today, McDonald's has over 40,000 locations in over 100 countries, 69 million customers every single day, the most visited restaurant on Earth, and it was built by a man who had failed at everything else first. Ray Kroc liked to say that luck is a dividend of sweat, that the more you sweat, the luckier you get. He was 52 years old, broke, sick, and still sweating, and the whole world ate what he cooked up.